Meghan Markle, terribly upset after receiving sad news about Prince Harry. Yeah, it really makes you think about like where this story fits, with everything else that's going on in the world.
Definitely.
But let's be real here. We've all seen these kinds of headlines before about Meghan and Harry.
For sure.
And it's like, are they really on the rocks or is this just, clickbait?
Right.
Exactly. So that's what we're going to do today.
Okay.
We're going beyond the headlines to see what this article really says. You know what I mean?
I'm with you.
Okay, so let's get into it. The big rumor that everyone's talking about is this supposed post-divorce book deal that Meghan's team is supposedly shopping around.
Oh, wow.
And the article even says that it wouldn't even be about her first marriage. Can you believe that?
That's wild.
I know, right? So apparently Vanity Fair is saying that some anonymous insider told them that Meghan's people were talking to a publisher. But then, get this, the article quotes another source who says that Meghan would never do something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So right away, we have a classic he said, she said situation.
It really makes you wonder about those anonymous sources, though, doesn't it?
Totally. Like, what do they get out of all this? Why are they even talking to the press?
That's the thing about this whole celebrity gossip world,
Yeah.
Things can turn into news before there's even, any real proof.
That's so true.
It's just like whisper, 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 and suddenly it's everywhere.
And the truth gets lost in all the noise.
Exactly.
So meanwhile, Meghan is supposedly terribly upset by all of this.
Yeah, well, I can see why.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, can you imagine having your entire personal life dissected and just completely twisted in the public eye?
No way.
It's gotta be tough.
For sure.
But the article doesn't just say that she's upset.
What else does it say?
Well, it quotes someone from OK Magazine who says that she's worried about how all this will affect her fans.
Oh, so they're going to think badly of her.
Right. And they also said that she's just exhausted by everyone always saying that she and Harry are breaking up.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Constantly being judged and misrepresented.
I know. It's even though it's not on a global scale, it's still got to be really hard.
You're right.
And it just makes you realize how much pressure these celebrities are under.
Yeah, especially with everyone feeling like they know them personally.
That whole parasocial relationship thing.
Exactly.
But something else that bugs me about all this?
What's that?
If this was a man remarrying after a divorce, would anyone even think twice? Would they assume he's just using the situation for his own gain?
Interesting point.
It feels like a double standard, you know?
Yeah, society has a hard time accepting when a woman takes control of her own story.
Especially after being in a high-profile relationship.
Absolutely.
It's almost like women are just expected to be quiet and go along with things.
Even when people are constantly scrutinizing them and spreading rumors.
It's like they can't win.
If they're successful, they're manipulative. If they're vulnerable, they're faking it.
Yeah, it's so frustrating.
Totally.
Anyway, back to the article. They do mention that Meghan is working on launching her own brand and that she's helping wildfire victims in LA.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it is.
But do you think it's a strategy, to change how people see her?
That's a really good question.
Or is it something she'd be doing anyway, regardless of the rumors?
It's impossible to know for sure.
It's like we're trying to read tea leaves.
Yeah. But I think it's important to at least acknowledge that she's doing these things.
Right. It shows that there's more to her than just the drama.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we should all try to remember when we read these kinds of stories.
For sure.
So this whole divorce book thing got me thinking.
Oh, yeah.
This isn't the first time a celebrity has written a tell-all after a big breakup.
Nope, definitely not.
Why do we love those books so much? Why are we so obsessed with messy breakups?
It's like we want to peek behind the curtain.
Ooh.
We want to hear the real story about a relationship that everyone thought was perfect.
Like the raw, unfiltered version?
Exactly.
But even then, are we really getting the whole truth?
That's a good question.
I mean, those books are still carefully written.
Oh, definitely.
They have an agenda.
Right, maybe they want to set the record straight or maybe they want revenge.
Or just to make some money off the whole thing.
Exactly. So even with a tell-all, we're only getting one side of the story.
And we have to remember that.
Absolutely. There's always more to it than meets the eye.
Especially when it comes to celebrity gossip.
You know what? You got it. It's crazy, right? So those books almost become part of the breakup story themselves.
That's so true.
It makes you wonder if Meghan did write a book.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would she even say? And would anyone believe her?
Ooh, that's a good question. Especially with everything we've been talking about, about how people already see her.
It's almost like everyone's just waiting for the next chapter to unfold, even though we're still in the middle of this one.
It's true. And it just shows you how invested people get in these celebrity relationships.
For sure.
But something about the whole post-divorce thing in the article just rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah.
It's like they're assuming the split is going to happen, even though they basically debunked the book deal rumor in the same article.
It's like they're already writing her off.
Exactly.
Focusing on what she'll do next instead of who she is now.
Yes. And it goes back to how Meghan's always portrayed in the media.
Like she's some kind of mastermind who tricked Harry into marrying her.
Right, but now even if she's supposedly the one being left, it's like she's already plotting her next move.
Oh yeah, like she's going to cash in on the drama.
Exactly.
It's like she can't win.
It's exhausting.
It really is.
And it's like, why do we do this to women in the public eye?
We need to be more critical of the media,
For sure.
Especially when it comes to women.
Absolutely. We need to think about, is this really an accurate portrayal? Or are they just pushing some kind of agenda?
Yeah, we have to be careful about those stereotypes.
It's like with this article, even though they cast doubt on the book deal,
yeah,
just bringing it up at all plays into this idea that Meghan is calculated and opportunistic.
You're right.
And that's why it's so important to look past the headlines and really look at the facts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have to form our own opinions.
Exactly. So after going through all of this, what do you think is the most important thing for our listeners to take away?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that this whole celebrity gossip thing is a business.
Yeah.
It's an industry. And they're making money off these stories, even if they don't care if they're true or not.
And it's not just harmless fun.
Not always, no.
Real people are being affected by this.
Absolutely.
It's kind of scary when you think about it.
Yeah, it is.
So where does this leave us? I mean, are Meghan and Harry really going to split up? What do you think?
Well, I don't have a crystal ball, unfortunately.
Too bad.
And it's not really our place to say what's going on in their marriage.
Right, of course.
But if we look at the article, it's really unclear.
There's a lot of questions.
Yeah, it's all just rumors and speculation.
It's like a soap opera.
But instead of getting caught up in the drama, I think it's more interesting to think about why we're so obsessed with all of this.
You know what I mean? Like, why do we care so much about celebrity breakups?
Well, there's definitely an element of, being fascinated by these larger-than-life figures.
Right.
But I also think there's a bit of schadenfreude in there, too.
Schadenfreude?
Yeah. Taking pleasure in someone else's misfortune.
Ugh.
It's like we feel better about our own lives when we see that even the rich and famous have problems.
That makes sense, actually.
It makes them seem more human.
And more relatable.
Exactly. And that's why we can't get enough of their stories.
So even if this book rumor isn't true, it's still done its job.
Oh, for sure.
People are talking.
The headlines are out there.
And Meghan and Harry are still in the spotlight.
Exactly. It's all about how these narratives are built and amplified and how they end up shaping how we see these public figures.
Wow, this has been really eye-opening.
Me too.
It's made me think a lot about how the whole celebrity news cycle works.
It's important to be aware of all the stuff that's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this has been a great conversation.
I agree.
But we're not done yet.
Oh, right.
We'll be back in a minute to finish up our analysis.
Okay, sounds good.
And we'll leave you with some final thoughts to ponder. All right, so we're back and ready to wrap up our royal rumor investigation.
I feel like we've been digging through all the evidence trying to crack this case wide open.
I know, right? So for anyone who just tuned in, let's recap what we've talked about so far.
Okay, sounds good.
We started with that headline about Meghan being terribly upset over a supposed post-divorce book deal.
Right, a story that just blew up everywhere.
Totally. But then we took a closer look at the article and realized things weren't so clear-cut.
We had those conflicting sources, the anonymous insiders, and a whole lot of questions left unanswered.
Exactly. We also talked about how the media portrays celebrities, especially women.
And how this whole thing plays into those existing narratives about Meghan.
And of course, we couldn't forget about our own fascination with all things celebrity gossip.
Right. Like, why are we so drawn to these kinds of stories even when we know they might not be totally true?
It's like we love a good mystery.
Especially when it involves famous people.
But I think this deep dive has been about more than just figuring out what's really going on with Meghan and Harry.
Oh, absolutely.
It's about learning to be more critical of the information we come across.
Especially these days with social media and everything happening so fast.
It's about realizing that every story, every headline has an angle.
And it's up to us to figure out what that angle is.
Exactly. So the big question is, did we solve the mystery? Are Meghan and Harry really headed for a split?
Well, I don't want to burst anyone's bubble, but we don't really have any definite answers.
Oh, man.
There are definitely signs that something might be going on.
Right.
But it's not clear yet.
I guess that's okay, though.
Yeah.
I mean, the point of all this wasn't really to find out if the rumors are true or not.
Right. It was more about understanding how these stories are created.
And how they can reflect, our own biases and values.
And how we can become more careful about the information we consume.
Exactly.
So here's something for everyone to think about.
Okay, I like this.
Remember, this article was published in January 2025.
Right.
So knowing what we know now about how the media works and about the whole world of celebrity, would we believe a story like this today?
That's a good question. Have we learned from all this?
I hope so.
Me too. So next time you see a headline that seems too good to be true, remember everything we've talked about today.
Don't just take it at face value.
Dig a little deeper.
Ask questions.
And most importantly, come to your own conclusions.
That's the key.
Because at the end of the day, knowledge is power.
And being a critical thinker is so important in this day and age.
Couldn't agree more. So stay curious, stay informed, and keep questioning everything. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.